Hello YouTube, this is Mahadev, the ThunderWizard, and I am doing, again, one of my short videos answering your comments, viewer comments on my channel. And this one has to do with Vedic astrology and finding your soul purpose. So the question Matthew asks is your Arudha Lagna, especially your Arudha Lagna Rahu, your soul path? And that was a very direct question, and I liked that, and I responded and I said no. He then comes back and he says, on a Vedic astrological level, what is your true soul path then? So that is a very good question, and it's a question that I completely understand. And I myself would love to know the answer to that question. So first we need to understand a couple of things in case you're new to Vedic astrology. We need to know what an Arudha Lagna is. So Lagna means the ascendant. So the Arudha Lagna means the reflection of the self, reflection of the ascendant. And the idea behind this is that if you understand what your Arudha Lagna is, and you live in a way that aligns with that reflection, people will respond more positively to you. They will give you jobs. They'll want to be your friends. They'll want to hang out with you. You'll be more successful in your job. And that's important to know, that the reflection of the self is not the self. So you walk around with an experience of yourself, what you think you are, how you think you feel, and most of us want people to see us for who we truly are. But the problem is that that's almost never going to happen. People will not see you for who you truly are. They're going to see you as your reflection. And this is, it's like when you walk in a room, imagine you have a mirror here. You're invisible, and the mirror reflects you, but you wearing a costume, not how you are. This is how people see you. So when you know what that costume is, how people see you, even if it's totally different from how you feel about yourself, you dress like that, you act like that, people will respond very positively. So he's saying that his Arudha Lagna, I'm assuming he's saying that his Arudha Lagna is Rahu. So he's asking this question probably because he's watched my channel, and I've said that Rahu represents the unfulfilled desires that bring you into manifestation. So Rahu represents your obsessions, your drive, your ambition, things like that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's your soul desire. Rahu represents drives that bring you down here. Rahu is illusion. So bear in mind that being in this physical body and being in this three-dimensional reality is an illusion. It is your desire for this illusion that actually brings you here. It is your desire for this illusion that keeps you here. So that's neither good nor bad. This three-dimensional life, you have to treat it like a virtual reality video game. And we take it very seriously. So I know you feel life very seriously. And me telling you that it's an illusion doesn't necessarily make that go away. So you have to surrender to the game and allow the game to have its influence on you. So you have to fulfill Rahu's drive, even though Rahu is completely focused on unfulfilled illusionary desires. It makes it fun in order to do that. So he's saying that Rahu is, I'm assuming he's saying that Rahu is his Arudha Lagna, and he wants to know, based on what I've said, that Rahu also represents the reason why you've come here and the drive that keeps you in this life. Rahu also represents things that you have come here to master. You haven't mastered them yet, but you want to master these skills. And so, and the idea is that once that you've mastered what Rahu has said, come experience this, you'll go, oh, well, that really wasn't completely fulfilling. I mean, now that I've done it, okay, so in terms of the truth of the universe, that wasn't it. Nevertheless, you have to fulfill it. Now, he's using the word soul path. And I've never used that word. So let's be clear. If he's asking me about a soul desire, that is a phrase that I use. But I don't use the phrase soul path. So there's a couple things about this question that that bother me a little bit. Number one is, I get the feeling. Well, first, let me just acknowledge the feeling behind it. I've had it myself, but there's kind of a desperation behind it. The desperation is, somebody please tell me what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I want. I don't know why I'm here. I'm floating around. Somebody just tell me. You know, Christians would say, I just want to know what God's will for me is. Other people might say, I just want to know what my destiny is. So I feel that in this question is your Arudha Lagna, your soul path? And my response is no, because if he means soul desire, even doesn't even mean, even if, look, if you type in Vedic astrology soul path, you're going to get as many answers as there are questions. And that's because Vedic astrology is not designed to be like a message directly from the universe saying, here are your orders, go do this. Vedic astrology doesn't do that. Vedic astrology is a map, and it's like a treasure map that shows you maybe some general directions to go. It'll show you, like a video game when you pull up your character's profile. And in your character's profile, it'll tell you what kind of character you are. You're a shaman, and your powers are, you have invisibility, and you have the cloak of something or other, and you have these strengths. It'll tell you what all of your strengths are. It'll tell you even the things that you don't have, but if you get the magic amulet, you'll end up having this power. It'll also tell you what your weaknesses are. You're not going to have the same strengths and weaknesses as other characters. And when you pull that up and you look at your character's profile, you're in your avatar in the video game, it's not going to tell you how to win the game. It's not going to tell you where to go. It's going to tell you about who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses. It may tell you, general directions to go, but the Vedic astrology doesn't give you, again, go to this street and meet this guy here, and he will tell you this, and then you need to go become a lawyer and work in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's not going to do that. So I hear that kind of desperation in that. So when he asks, is your Arudha Lagna, especially your Arudha Lagna Rahu, your soul path, my response was no, because it's not. And then he responds, and then I hear the desperation, which the reason why desperation in people's questions bothers me, again, this is my weakness. I react, with impatience and annoyance and all that. But it's because what I want, this is what I want the most for myself, but I also want it in others. What I want for people is I want them to find the truth and the power within. That they don't need anybody else's approval, that they don't need anything from anybody else, that everything you have is within you. So when I get the feeling that somebody is asking, that they can't find it within themselves and they want something outside of them to give them meaning and purpose, I get annoyed, but it's because I desperately want them to see that. And so I respond that way to this internally. So when I say no, your Arudha Lagna Rahu is not your soul path, He says, on a Vedic astrological level, what is your true soul path then? Which again, I feel some desperation in that. I want to know what my true soul path is. Somebody just tell me what I'm supposed to do. And as I said, of course, Vedic astrology doesn't work like that. It's a treasure map, and it's based on discovery. But there's all kinds of ways to find out things about your soul path in Vedic astrology. One would be the Atma Karaka. That is the planet that has the highest number of degrees in your chart. That will tell you all kinds of things about the direction your soul is going in, the lesson that your soul needs to learn. It'll tell you a lot about how you best function. For instance, my Atma Karaka is Moon. So that means that I operate best when I'm in a state having to do with intuition, having to do with connecting to the collective unconscious. I do very well when I operate on an emotional level. As you know, in my chats, I'm always telling people, share your honest feelings. That's my Atma Karaka. Now, knowing that the moon is my Atma Karaka, is that going to tell me what my exact true soul path is? No. It gives me an idea of the strengths that I have, the weaknesses that I have. It tells me, a basic direction and a basic tool that I can use to unlock the mysteries of this life that I have. There's other things you can do, like knowing what your ascendant in your D9 chart. That's a completely different chart that's underneath your birth chart. There's a thing called the D9 or the Navamsha chart, and that will tell you billions of things. But one of the things you can do is you can look at the ascendant in your D9 chart. And if there's a planet in there, then that planet is telling you a deep underlying drive of your soul that will help you get through life. If there isn't a planet in your ascendant in your D9 chart, then you can look at the Lord of the sign. So for instance, my D9 chart, my ascendant is Aries. So there's no planet in there. But Aries is the warrior. It is Mars. So what that means is that underneath my birth chart, one of the things that will drive me through life, a great tool that I can use, a great strategy in life for me, is to live the life of a warrior. That works out really well because my Arudha Lagna has Mars in it. So those are things that I can use that whenever I'm unsure, I have these tools that I can use to unlock the mystery of my life. What this person is asking is, I don't want to be in doubt. I want somebody to tell me exactly what to do. So on a Vedic astrological level, what is your true soul path? It is the combination of all of these things. I mean, honestly, if there was one thing, one answer, here's the answer for everything, there wouldn't be, there wouldn't be Vedic astrologers that people paid, hundreds or thousands or continuously reach out to their astrologer because it's a mystery. Your astrology chart is a map. It's a treasure map. It's not a destination map. And once you discover things, you can look at your chart and go, oh, that's so true. Now I see it. And that will help you help others. So if what this person means by soul path is the phrase that I use, which is soul desire, those are two very different things. For instance, my soul path, now that I'm deeper living in it and I'm 2/3 of the way through my life, it's pretty clear what my soul path is. And of course, if I look back in hindsight, I can see that this has been the driving force of my life, no matter what I've been chasing after or what I've done for a living or what career I've tried to create for myself. It's very obvious that my path in life, my path of service for others, is to help people be empowered and to find the truth of their essence on a spiritual level. And I do that in pretty much everything that I do. Is that my sole desire? No. That, if you look at my life, if I follow my soul desire, my soul purpose gets fulfilled. Do you see the difference? If somebody came to me and said, when I was, wanting to find out, oh, well, your soul path is you have to spiritually work to bring freedom and awareness to people. That wouldn't really help me, because then I would be thinking about what I'm supposed to do for other people, and that wouldn't bring me satisfaction or happiness. It doesn't bring me love in my life. It doesn't bring me health. It doesn't bring me satisfaction. Your soul desire is the thing that brings you satisfaction to you. And as I've said, my soul desire for me is to live in warm tropical areas that have lots of nature in them, lots of forest, and I can surf empty, beautiful beaches. That's my soul desire. In order for me to accomplish my soul desire, I have to make a living. And so for me, I believe everybody should do this. I've chosen to only make a living doing the things that I have interest in, that I would do anyway. Things that I enjoy doing, and that, like this, doing this video, this is something I would do anyway. All of the things I do and make money doing are things that I would do in my spare time when I wasn't out surfing. So in order to pay for my surfing lifestyle, traveling around, right now I'm in Florida. For 2.5 years, I was in Australia. Before that, I was surfing in Southern California beaches. And I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I might go to Central America. I might go to South America. I might, who knows where I'm going to go from here. I'm here to figure that out. That's my soul desire. In the meantime, in order to be able to live my soul desire, I have to make a living. And I make a living following my soul path, which is obviously something I have interest in, that I have a lot of desire and knowledge about, but it's not my soul desire. Now, we may have to keep talking about what the soul desire is, because there's a lot of people asking me these same kinds of questions. They don't know, we talked last time, somebody asked, how do you feel when you're following your soul, and how do you feel during, and how do you feel after? And, my response to that is, how do you know when you're doing anything that brings you happiness? You just know. So when it comes to your soul desire, it is a feeling. Stop trying to figure it out. Your intellect does not know what your soul desire is. Your heart does. Your soul, these are emotions, these are feelings, these are not things that you figure out. They are feelings that well up within you, and those feelings create an inspiration. And the inspiration is like the wind. It comes and it goes. So the way to use your intellect properly to figure out your soul desire is, number one, your intellect will not be able to figure it out. So you're not going to be able to think, what is my soul desire? Show me the exact thing for my soul desire. Show me in the astrological chart. Show me in the scriptures. Show me exactly. No, that's your intellect. And you will never, I want you to hear what I have to say. You will never find your soul desire by sitting on the edge of your bed trying to figure it out. It'll never come to you, because your intellect is not your soul. Your intellect is a program in your brain. It is software designed to help you interface with three-dimensional reality. It's only focused on three-dimensional reality. That's why atheists are so intellectual. Atheists are intellectual. They can't comprehend a life after death. They can't comprehend anything outside of three-dimensional reality that can be proven by science. If it can't be proven by science, it doesn't exist, because that's where the intellect lives. Now, that may be their soul path in this life to live an intellectual life, but as long as they're physically in this body, they'll never believe in an afterlife or deities or a soul, and that's fine. They didn't come here to learn spiritual truths. They came here to be a part of this physical world. So the bottom line is, stop trying to use your intellect to figure out your soul desire, because it'll never work. Tapping into your feelings, like in the Star Wars, tap into your feelings. Tap into your feelings. A soul desire is going to be a feeling that comes up, and that's why when you go to career.thunderwizard.com, if you go there, you will see a video course. If you take that video course, I walk you through very specific questions that will lead you to know the feeling that is within you all the time. Your soul desire is in there, constantly telling you what it wants. What ends up happening is that we get confused. We get confused between our intellectual desire to fit in with society, to make a living, we try and fit in. We try and either please our parents or please society or please our church or our government, our friends, our spouses. When we are living our lives trying to please other people and fit in a desire to survive, we live in our intellect. We're trying to figure out things. When you're operating from your soul, it doesn't have any rhyme or reason to it. It's just a feeling that comes up. It's a desire. It's a deep desire within you to experience in this three-dimensional world. We have all kinds of desires. We have the desire to be loved. We have the desire to be happy. We have the desire, we have all kinds of desires. But your soul desire is going to be something that you need to experience, that there's a desire in it. It won't make any sense. In fact, oftentimes your soul desire won't be something that exists in, what kind of job should I do? Your soul desire may not have a job associated with it. You'll have to figure out a way to achieve your soul desire while finding ways to make money. And the best way, in my experience, to make money is to make money doing things you would do anyway. Hobbies, interests, maybe your soul desire. If your soul desire is to be a musician, that might be how you make money. Maybe not. Maybe your soul desire is to be a musician, but your soul path in terms of how you make money could be some other passions or interests associated with it that give you the resources so that you can spend your life studying music and playing music. All right? But this is an adventure that you figure out. Just to give you an example, things can change. The other thing about this question, Matthew, I don't know how old he is, but he strikes me as a young person, because that's the feeling behind it is the kind of feeling a young adult has when they're 20, 21 years old, maybe even 18, and they want to know, tell me what I'm supposed to do. Their whole life is ahead of them. They're about to embark on being, independent, and it's like, I just want somebody to tell me which direction to go. And so that's why I want to say to this person, stop trying to figure it out. Just listen to your desires. Now, I'm 58, so I've got 2/3 of my life behind me. And during that time, I've done a bunch of different things. And if you were to ask me when I was 19 what my soul desire was, I would have told you my soul desire was to be a Christian minister and go around preaching to people and saving people in God's kingdom. I went after that. I went to Bible college and I studied Greek and Latin, the Bible in Greek and Latin, and I preached and I did all that. And after doing that for a few years, I realized that wasn't where I belonged. That religion didn't work for me, so I left that religion. And then I went into acting because acting was something that I had always enjoyed doing. I had a strong drive to do it. If you were to ask me when I was 22 what my sole desire was, I would have said my sole desire was to be the next Brad Pitt. I wanted to be the next movie star, and I really liked the idea of emotionally tapping into my emotions and playing out a character's life so that the audience could vicariously experience their own emotions. I enjoyed connecting with them and giving them. It was the same. You see the same driving thread in there. I wanted to be a spiritual minister and save people, and then I wanted to, on an emotional level, create pieces of art through my acting that people could then experience their own emotions and have their own life. In fact, I used to tell people I do this so that people can experience their own emotional reality and get a feeling of validation for their emotional existence. Then, I did that, and I started a theater company, and I wrote films, and I wrote and directed and edited films that never went anywhere. And that, if you were to ask me during those years, I would have said my sole desire was to be an actor and a filmmaker. And while I was doing that, I taught acting. I taught acting to the members of my theater company, and it was all about helping them try and tap into their own essence, their own soul. In fact, I remember teaching some exercises, and one of the actors said, "Yeah, what you're doing is freaking me out. It's so spiritual." I'm like, "I'm not doing anything spiritual. I'm teaching you how to act." But that person was right. You see now you can see my Atmakaraka through me following these different soul desires. My Atmakaraka is the moon, which is connecting emotionally to your soul and helping other people to do that. So clearly my soul path hasn't changed, but the soul desires, or what I thought my soul desires were changing all the time. So, people want to know. I just want to know the one thing I'm supposed to do for the rest. There isn't one. Your desire is whatever is your soul purpose manifesting in a different desire. At some point, I think it's very likely for many people that they will settle into one soul desire. Now, all that I just explained to you was up until the age of 36. And according to Vedic astrology, you're not an adult until you hit 35. So from 35 on, now you're an adult. Now you know who you are. And all kinds of other great things have happened, like the planets that were causing you problems your first half of your life turn around and become planets that help you. You find out what your true strengths are by the time that you're an adult. And by the time you're an adult, when people hit their mid-30s, there's usually a huge shift. If somebody is not in tune with their soul desire, you will see this is when people will revert, and I've seen this. People become religious all of a sudden. They start, they become born again Christians, or they become, hardcore Catholics, or, they become a Muslim, and before that they were these rebellious, free living people, and now all of a sudden they revert back to how their parents used to live. Or you have people who start to really move into their success and into their power. To me, these are two choices that when you hit that 30 to 35 year mark, people end up starting to really face the reality of who they are. And if they are not aligned with their soul, then they will make choices based on the hope that they can fit in, be a good person, finally be accepted. And that's when you see people going in, and they'll do things like they'll get married, and they need to have kids right away, and I want to be a father or mother. I got nothing against it, but this happens right around that same time. You got to have kids, and you got to have a house, and you got to have a mortgage. Here I am, I'm 58 years old. I don't have any kids. I don't have any mortgage. I literally travel around and live wherever the heck I want. And that's not, usually people my age, they're settling down. You've got to save up for retirement. And they're, a lot of people in Florida, they're buying some home in Florida and it's an investment in their retirement. And then they have these reverse mortgages while they just sit around waiting to die. Right? So you either do something that's safe or you take fearless action on your soul. So Matthew, if you're not 35, then you may not know what your end soul path is. You may not know what that is. I recommend stop trying to figure it out. Listen to your emotions. So if you go to career.thunderwizard.com, if you have this challenge where you don't know what your soul desire is and you can't figure it out and you're confused, that's okay. I was confused. Most people are. But I've figured out a way that there are a series of questions that I ask you, and it has worked every time. I just had two consultations, one yesterday and one the day before, people asking, and every single time it's amazing. If I take them through these questions, they tell me exactly what their soul desire is. And then my job is to say, okay, so now go do it. Now I can't make you go do it, but I can definitely, help you find that out. So you can go to career.thunderwizard.com and you can get that video course. If you want to, you can even use that as a way to make money. You can become a life coach telling people how to find their soul desire, because I tell you exactly how to do it. You can apply it to yourself. You can apply it to others. I take myself through that same questionnaire very often, sometimes on a weekly basis. I'll ask myself those questions because I want to know. If my soul desire is changing, I want to know. So far it hasn't, but yours might. So if you want to have a session with me, then go to career.thunderwizard.com, scroll to the bottom, and purchase a session. And within an hour, you'll know what your soul desire is. Your soul path, as I said, my soul path is to help people be empowered in their soul, in their self-empowered, live for themselves. That's my soul path. There's been numerous ways that I've done that. I started out as a minister, preaching and teaching, and then I walked away from that and I became an actor, and I was also a writer and an acting teacher. And then I became, one of the things I did is I mastered African drumming, and I taught that same kind of deal. Learning drumming, you have to tap into yourself, believe in yourself. It's the same soul path, that same moon trying to connect to people on the mind level, the emotional level, and the intuition level so that they can find their soul. And now I'm doing this work where I teach Qigong, I do these videos, I've written books. My soul path is clear, but I'm looking in hindsight. I didn't know what my soul path was. So knowing your soul path isn't going to help you find your soul desire. Finding your soul path may help you have some ideas around it, but the only thing you need to focus on is what brings you joy on the deepest level that has nothing to do with fitting into society or pleasing anybody else. When you follow that, you will follow your soul path. You will fulfill your karma, your dharma, your destiny. Because we can look now, I'm looking back in hindsight at my life. My dharma obviously is to be the shaman that I am and spiritually empower and help people. My whole life has been about connecting emotionally to my deepest emotions and helping others to connect to their emotions. Doesn't matter whether I'm teaching acting, African drumming, I'm performing, writing films, doing this, teaching Qigong, writing books about ancient spirituality. Those are the details. The soul path has been the same, but up until right now, this moment, because of this question, I haven't known what my soul path is. I don't think like that. I want to know what makes me happy, and I want to fulfill that. And when I do that, like right now, what does surfing have to do with any of those things? Surfing is a thing that helps me connect to my deepest emotions. I connect intuitively to the ocean, which is representative of emotions. And it heals me and empowers me. And then when I have that empowerment, guess what happens? My intuition connects to the universe, and I end up coming up with new things to teach and share with you. All right? So there's a discussion on the difference between soul path and soul desire. I don't think you need to figure out what your soul path is. I think what's helpful is to listen to your desire and follow those. Fulfill those at all cost. And everything else will be exactly the way as it's supposed to be. You don't need to know a thing about it. All right, so that's my answering questions for today. And again, the website for today is career.thunderwizard.com. If you want to find out what your Arudha Lagna is, which is also something very helpful, you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com, and you can get a reading from either me or from one of my certified apprentices. If you want to become a certified apprentice, where you can have a website on my channel, you can go to lockdown.thunderwizard.com. All right? So that's it for this video. I may come on later on with a live video later, but that's it for now. All right, guys, I wish you all the best. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you all very soon.